He'll play! You know he'll play! He'll play on crutches! Ladies and gentlemen, we have just gotten confirmation from JT Miller that he's going to be playing today, baby. And it could not have come at a better time, in a better game, too. The Vancouver Canucks are playing off against the Florida Panthers later tonight, and of course, everybody recognizes this is the reigning, defending, undisputed Stanley Cup champion of the world coming into Vancouver and trying to rough things up here with the Canucks. The Cats this year are doing pretty well. I mean, they're first overall in the Atlantic Division, 6th overall in the league too, so of course Vancouver does not have an easy assignment going up against Barkov, Reinhart, Sam Bennett, and everybody in between. But here's the tweet from... actually there are a few tweets that go out there and talk about it. The one that I wanted to refer to though, Farhan Lalji, he tweeted this out saying that JT Miller is playing tonight. He began his pre-game press conference with a statement saying that he wouldn't discuss the reasons for his absence. He said also that he's been out of the loop with fan reaction, but he appreciates the support. Now, that's totally fine. JT Miller does not need to discuss the reasons for his absence with the media in Vancouver, of all places. And it's also interesting to see that he acknowledges the fan support. However, I will say that fan support has been so crazy everywhere throughout this city that you even heard during the Survivor Series War Games that went on at Rogers Arena, there was a gosh darn JT Miller chant that was going on. It was funny. It was great. I saw some people in the R Squared Circle subreddit. Squared Circle is the term they use for a wrestling ring. So people that were commenting on that, the non-hockey fans, wrestling fans, they were commenting in the Survivor Series thread, what are they chanting, baby killer? And then some of the replies were like, no, they're chanting JT Miller, local hockey player for the Vancouver Canucks that everybody here loves. And even throughout Rogers Arena, despite Miller's absence, they were chanting out JT Miller at some moments. So obviously fan support for this guy is through the roof. It's nice to see him coming back, though. With this in mind, we do have some other Vancouver Canucks news and notes, and I also wanted to talk about some Oilers stuff too, because it kind of relates to each other. It's pretty great. Before we dive into that, though, another update on Vancouver hockey heading into today's game against Florida. It is Kevin Lankinen, the first goalie off the ice at morning skate tonight, indicating that he might be getting the start here against a Cats team that, of course, is very, very good. If it's going to be Lankinen versus Bobrovsky, then okay, that's going to be a goaltending matchup to pay attention to. I think this was the right choice. I don't necessarily know if I would be comfortable playing Thatcher Demko in this game, considering the start that he had against St. Louis. He wasn't terrible. Wasn't really bad either, to be honest. He had to stop a bunch of breakaways, but Thatcher Demko from the first game of the season in the St. Louis game is certainly not the same as the Thatcher Demko that was a Vezina caliber nominee from last year. He definitely needed some time to get up to speed because it's been 200-something days since he had started a hockey game. Don't necessarily know if the Florida Panthers are the appropriate place for him to get start number 2. We'll wait until the weekend because I guess the Canucks might just give Demko Boston. They haven't really been playing all too well this season, so maybe get some hometown revenge on the Bees. Anyways, because this video is coming out a little bit earlier, I wanted to shift some gears over to the guys that were placed onto waivers, because we did have ourselves one name from the Edmonton Oilers that I thought was super interesting to talk about in this video. It's Travis Dermott, sent down on waivers here. Now, we did have some other waiver news from the past few days, and even today, there was a waiver claim by Utah. They claimed a guy from Toronto, but ultimately for the Oilers, I did think there was a conversation here, because for Travis Dermott, he has been one of the more, let's just say, on-the-bubble guys in Edmonton. Not really all too spectacular, decent in the minutes that he plays, but it was never going to be a world beater, even though he was kind of in a spot where he was maybe forced to be a little bit more than what he is. Everybody's talking about the Oilers and their defense situation. No more CC, no more Broberg. I guess with this move, they're going to be running with that 7D setup instead of 8. They've got Troy Stetcher on the team. They've got Ty Emberson. They also do have their other guys, Kulak, Nurse, Matthias Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, and then Alec Regula, whom they had claimed earlier yesterday from the Boston Bruins. It saves them some money. Makes sense, right? Alec Regula certainly isn't the most expensive guy in the world who is coming over to Edmonton, but because he's now on the roster, it opens the door up for Travis Dermott to get sent down. Either he gets claimed and he goes elsewhere, or he goes down to Bakersfield and makes significantly less against the Edmonton Oilers and their cap. Ultimately, for me, I like Travis Dermott. I know for Montreal Canadiens fans, there's already a bit of love there because he had a very horrendous giveaway in the 2021 bubble playoffs. Bubble playoffs? No, that was a regular playoffs, just with limited seating capacity, right? Travis Dermott had a really amazing turnover, which led over to one of the most important Montreal Canadiens goals in that 2021 playoff stint. I believe it was the Jesperi Kotkaniemi overtime winner in Game 6. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And don't worry, if any Leafs fans for some reason are watching this video, I'm not going out there and talking smack about Travis Dermott entirely. He was a Vancouver Canuck, so I definitely do acknowledge his presence, and I liked him too when he was a Canuck as well. If any team does go out there and claim him, just as long as you don't play him all too much, I do think he's a very serviceable bottom pair defenseman. Anyways, sticking around with the Oilers and Vancouver conversation, I wanted to talk about a former Oiler and current Canuck whose name has apparently, according to some sources, entered the trade market once again. Here's a tweet from Taj, citing what was said on Donnie and Dolly from earlier this morning. Rick Dollywell said a couple of people have told him that Vinny Desharnais is out there on the trade market. No word if they're trying NHL or AHL teams. The Canucks are like, can we interest you in the 7th defenseman whom we overpaid for a couple of years that can't play hockey but is very tall? I will admit, though, maybe this criticism is a bit harsh on Vinny Desharnais, but Desharnais has not necessarily been all too great for Vancouver. I will say the one area in which he actually has shown pretty decent value is the penalty kill. He has been one of the better penalty killers on the Vancouver Canucks with his size and his presence on the back end. But other than that, when Vinny Desharnais plays 5v5, when he plays normal minutes, he doesn't really do all too much that is effective, and quite frankly, there are some bad moments too. It's interesting because statistically he actually is a lot better than reputation would have you believe. Him and Brannstrom together were one of the better pairings in the NHL. I think they're a top 15 pairing in expected goals for percentage. Based off of the money puck model, like, it's kind of weird how some of the advanced analytics really do favor Vinny Desharnais, despite the fact that he hasn't really been playing all too well for the Vancouver Canucks this season. At least in general conversation. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about how Vinny Desharnais is not really mobile, he's only really on the team because he's big, he doesn't really bring much offense, nor does he bring too much stability there. I mean, he can hit guys and he can block, which is, I guess, what you need. And he did spend an extended amount of time out of the lineup too, not because he was hurt, but because he just wasn't good enough to be placed in the lineup over some of the other guys. Now that Hronek is out, yeah, okay, you're gonna have to be given some time to Vinny Desharnais there. But it's interesting considering the idea that he might actually be on the trade market because, I mean, it's not like the Canucks would be getting any better by trading Vinny Desharnais away unless they were to get themselves a better defenseman in the trade, which would be very difficult to do. Also, the fact that Vinny Desharnais is making $2 million a year, that is not an insignificant amount of money. So, obviously, a team that's going out there would be evaluating Desharnais for the same reasons Alvin and Rutherford valued him in the offseason this year. And if they think that $2 million a year is okay, it's an acceptable dollar amount for this guy, then hey, be my guest. Let's see Vinny Desharnais get traded and sent over to another team so the Canucks could open up another roster spot for a younger D-man or a better D-man and maybe save some dollars in the process. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all these notes about the Canucks and the Oilers. JT Miller is back. Kevin Lankinen is starting against the Florida Panthers here. JT, by the way, I didn't realize this until now. Like, I just looked it up on Elite Prospects, but Miller hasn't played in a month. What? Like, it's been a month already of this guy not being on the roster. That is crazy, man. Ever since the pandemic, time has been going so differently, and I don't know how I feel about it. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about JT Miller suiting up for his first game in almost a month, Kevin Lankinen getting the start, Travis Dermott getting on waivers, and former Oilers D-man Vinny Desharnais entering the trade market. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.